I don't watch a lot of commercials these days. Maybe you don't either. You can just fast forward right past them. Or you can get everything on the DVD now or on Netflix, and so you don't have to watch any commercials at all. You can watch a TV show in about 20 minutes. It's great. A whole hour becomes 41 minutes without the commercials. But there is one that I've seen in the past few years, and I bet you've seen it too. It starts with Vikings, and they're running down a hill, and they're trying to ransack the village, it looks like, and they have maces and swords and spears and axes and all of those things, and they're running down a hill, and they're getting ready to go for this guy, and he holds up a card, and it's a credit card, and they say, "Oh, it's Capital One." And then one of the Vikings looks at the camera and says, "What's in your wallet?" I love this commercial. It won a bunch of awards because it's such a great commercial. Somebody was telling me at one of the other services, when I said, "What's in your wallet?" you immediately think, what is in my wallet? Where is my wallet? Do I still have my wallet? A few years ago, when I was a student pastor, my wallet was stolen out of the sacristy while I was leading worship. Now, one would think that someone would not want the, the wrath of God, the bad karma, whatever it was that they believed in, so that they would not steal a wallet from a pastor while she was in the middle of leading worship. But they got over all that and stole it right out of my purse. They didn't take my purse, so I didn't notice until I got to the gas station after church and opened up my wallet opened up my purse. There's no wallet in there. Somebody had already gone to Walmart, because why not? If you need everything, you go to Walmart, and they tried to buy a bunch of stuff, and they went to Best Buy and bought a TV, and I was on the phone with my credit card company, and I said, "I'm in seminary. I'm not going to be buying a TV. Trust me." But I had to get on the phone, and it was a pain, and ever since then, when I heard that, "What's in your wallet?" I thought, what is in my wallet? Is it going to be like last time? And because that's where our safety and our security is. And that's why those commercials are so great, because it feels like that when your money is stolen. If you've had that happen, and probably most of us have, it feels like they're stealing a piece of you. It feels like Vikings are breaking in and with their axes and all those things. And if you've had your identity stolen, which I know is pretty common, it feels like that too, like people are ransacking your house. And so I think with the Vikings and what's in your wallet, it makes us all think, well, am I safe? Am I really secure in my money and all those kinds of things? That commercial was created by a Lutheran. I just found this out. If you're not Lutheran by background, there are a lot of Norwegians who are Lutheran, and so he came up with the Vikings. It's someone from this congregation's cousin who's in on those meetings and said, what's the baddest thing in the world? What's the scariest? It wasn't Darth Vader. It wasn't anything like that. It was Vikings, because he was a Lutheran. Vikings are super intimidating, so they rushed down the hill. And, just so you know, there was a Lutheran involved. The money in that commercial, they never even mention money. But that's exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about where is your safety and where is your security. And the message of it is that it's found in your wallet. Whatever's in your wallet is your safety and your security, and that's why it's so important to know what's in your wallet. And when people ask all these questions about money, and I read the paper this morning, and every headline is about money and all those things, and I know, I said a few weeks ago, people got up when I started talking about, women in church, or when I got up and I happen to be a woman. People do that sometimes when you talk about money. We don't like to talk about it. But Jesus talked about money a lot. He talked about it more than he talked about love. I promise, you can look it up. He talked about money because he knows it's something that we take so seriously and that we think is so important. When we hear a commercial like that, I think, my safety and security is in my wallet. I better go check, because if the right thing is there, then I'm safe, then I'm secure. This starts at a really young age. My son just turned 6, and he got a card in the mail, and you're not going to believe this. It had $20 in it. For a 6-year-old, that's a fortune. And then the next day, he got a card from his Nana. And I mean, this is even more unbelievable. Guess how much that had in it? It had $30. So if you're 6 years old, you run up to the jars that hold your money in your room and you get out everything you have left and you count it all up. And then your eyes bug out of your head because you discover you have $64. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of Legos. And let me tell you, he knows exactly where every dollar of it is. He knows exactly where it is. He counts it every day. For the past 2 days, he says, I said, buddy, can I tell the people at Holy Trinity about your money? And he said, oh yeah. He's proud of that money. If he was here, he'd probably show it to you. We take it seriously. It's exciting. It's a part of what we do several times a day. We're spending it. We're thinking about it. We're watching our portfolios rise and fall, mostly fall. Sorry. But that's what we look to when we look for security and when we ask these questions. And when I see all of this happening in the economy, I wonder, what does Jesus have to say about it? What does our faith have to say about it? And today, we see that Jesus' time was so similar to ours because if you've been watching the debates and all that, if you want to trip somebody up, what do you ask them about? Taxes. If you want to make somebody mad, if you want them to say the wrong thing, you ask them about money and taxes. And so that's what they did to Jesus. The Pharisees, they didn't go themselves. Did you catch that? They sent their interns. They sent their interns to do the dirty job and said, this is what you need to ask him. And so they came to Jesus and said, tell us, because we know that you don't care about stuff like this. Backhanded compliment. We can tell you don't care about stuff like this, so we want to know, do you think that it's lawful to pay taxes to the emperor? Now Jesus is stuck. Because if he says, yes, it's lawful to pay taxes to the emperor, well, they've got him there. Because if he says it's lawful, then that's going against the church, and they're an occupied country, and they're paying to the occupation, to the governor, and they can say, well, then that means your faith is not that strong. That means you're not going to the temple. That means you're not following the Mosaic law. But he can't say no. Because if they say, is paying taxes lawful? And he says no, then guess what they can do? They can throw him in jail. Because they are an occupied country, and they can report him, and they can say, he said that paying taxes wasn't lawful. Can you imagine that? So he's trapped. There's no good answer. He can't say yes. He can't say no. So he looks at those interns, those Pharisee interns, poor kids, and he says, what's in your wallet? That's a paraphrase. But he says, does anybody have a coin? Does anybody have a coin? Anyone? Does anybody have a coin? He says to the interns, does anybody? He's got a coin. Do you have a denarius? Bummer, yeah. A denarius, he says to the interns, and they look and they check in their pockets, they check in their wallets, and one of them pulls out and says, yeah, I have a denarius. And Jesus says, well, whose face is on it? Then maybe you should give that to the person whose face is on it. And maybe you should give to God the things that are God's. And so you can see the interns look at each other and then they scurry away because even though the interns, they would love to debate. Nobody loves to debate more than a seminarian. They would love to debate these questions, but there's nothing to debate about what is God's because it's everything. You can't even debate that. Give the things to God that are God's. That's everything we've got, including what's in our wallets. Everything belongs to God, and so they scurry away because what are you going to say to that? They have a day's wage in their pockets, ready to pay the tax. Jesus is saying, if you have something in your wallet, and most of us do, it belongs to God already. All of it. 100%. Your very life belongs to God. Because I think there was another reason why Jesus asked if anybody had a coin. Does anybody have a coin on them? Anyone? Jesus asked that because I think Jesus didn't have any money. I think that was Jesus' answer to what should we do about our money. People came to Jesus all the time and said, what should we do? What should we do about our money? And I think Jesus' answer was to not have any. He existed on the kindness of strangers. Remember, Jesus is a good Lutheran. He would say to people when he met them, let's go to your house today for lunch. He would say to people, I'm coming to your house to stay there. Nobody ever refused him. Why would he need to carry any money? Why would he not have all the things that he needed? He practiced exactly what he preached earlier in Matthew. He said, don't worry about your clothes. Don't worry about all those things. And he was talking to people who were homeless. He was talking to people who didn't have anything. Whatever you have belongs to God. Whatever treasures you store up, whatever you have in your wallet, that is not your safety and your security. Whether it's 10 credit cards plus a Capital One or whether it's nothing, that is not your safety or your security. Your safety and your security are found in knowing that everything you have belongs to God. Everything. Sometimes we talk about 10%. That comes from the Old Testament. We give 10% back to God. And I think that's a great plan. It works for my family. When you give 10%, everything else falls into place. And that's a wonderful way to live your life. But Jesus never said 10%. Jesus says everything. Everything. Because for Jesus, everything belongs to God. And if that is true, then we're free to do anything. We're free to keep what we want of our money, knowing that it belongs to God anyway. And then if our life is asked of us, what treasure do we have other than our life in God? All those things, whatever's in our wallet, whatever Vikings are trying to break in and steal our stuff and steal our lives and steal all those things that we're so afraid of, we know that our life belongs to God. That's where we have our safety. That's where we have our security. And the God that loves us so much, the God will take care of us. Amen.